Hi, this is Kate from Daily Tarot Girl, and welcome to today's deep dive into the Knight of Pentacles. So I'm doing a series on the court cards right now, and we just finished diving into all four queens, and now we're going to move on to the knights. So the knights are super exciting. The knights are all about action. There's a lot of energy behind the knights. The knights love adventure, moving forward, experiencing things, taking action, getting things done. So they're a very active, very exciting, very dynamic group of characters to dive into. So a couple things I want to mention before we dive into the Knight of Pentacles is I have created a free court card cheat sheet for you. So if you want your copy, I'm going to put the info, the link down below to how you can get your free copy, but it's always nice to have a cheat sheet on hand when you're doing readings, especially for the court cards. So the other thing I want to mention is if you want to see the written version of this video, I'm also going to put the link to that down below. So I always do a blog post version of these deep dive videos. So if you want to see what it looks like written and just kind of skim and look at certain things, I'm going to put the link to where you can find that. I'm also going to be giving you some journaling questions in today's video, and you can find those down below this video and also on my blog. The other thing I want to mention is the image that you will see on your screen of the Knight of Pentacles tarot card is from the Universal Waite Tarot deck. All right, are you ready? Buckle up, because this is going to be a fun ride. Okay, so let's dive into the Knight of Pentacles. So the suit of Pentacles corresponds to the element of earth. So the suit of Pentacles is very earthy. This is a very physical suit, and the suit of Pentacles is all about the kind of physical realm. So your body, your health, money, material goods, your home, all of that physical stuff, that all falls under the realm of the suit of Pentacles. And this is kind of the key to understanding the court cards, is to understand the four suits and how each court card kind of represents the energy of their particular suit. So a few symbols to pay attention to on this card. The first symbol, which is really obvious, is the pentacle that he's holding out in front of him. So as I said, the pentacle represents money, body, earth, the material realm. And then we see the color red kind of all over this card. And the color red has to do with blood, the earth. It corresponds to the first chakra, the sacral chakra, which is related to survival and feeling safe. And this is something to remember about the Knight of Pentacles, is that he needs to feel safe before he moves forward. He's also riding a black horse, and the color black is a very protective, a very psychologically protective color. It's associated with protection. And the Knight of Pentacles can also be a bit of a dark horse. He can sometimes surprise you. There is a plume of green in his helmet and also on his horse. And that plume of green represents nature and growth and life. And the Knight of Pentacles very much loves the outdoors and nature, being from the suit of Pentacles. And this card, you'll also notice, especially if you compare this card with the other three knights, you'll notice that the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that is standing still. The other knights are moving forward in some way. Like the Knight of Swords is charging forward, but the other knights are also kind of galloping forward, whereas the Knight of Pentacles is just still. He's not actually moving. So this kind of makes him stand out from the other knights. He is the slowest moving knight of the bunch, and he is prone to procrastination, and he can be a bit of a stick in the mud, which we'll get into in a minute. So I want to give you some keywords and personality traits for the Knight of Pentacles. So he is very stable. He's slow and steady. He's also super cautious and patient. He's different from the other knights because the other knights are very much adventure seeking and they like a lot of action, whereas the Knight of Pentacles he really values predictability and stability, and he's just very cautious. He's not, what do you call that? Impulsive. So he is very sensible and he's realistic. He doesn't have, you know, pie in the sky dreams or anything. He's super realistic. He's very risk averse and he avoids thrills. So this isn't the kind of guy who likes roller coasters and going on thrilling adventures in the jungle. You know, he's the exact opposite. He's kind of a homebody. He can be a little bit of a procrastinator and he's prone to stagnate, and he can kind of fall into stagnation really easily. He can be indecisive and stubborn. Now, if you know anything about astrology, think of the sign of Taurus. So just think of a Taurus. I always associate Taurus with the Knight of Pentacles. He's really good at many things. So he has many talents. He's very good at slowing down. He's so patient and sensible, and he knows how to play the long game. So this is something many of us aren't able to do. Many of us have a hard time slowing down, but the Knight of Pentacles is really good at this. He's good at being patient and taking things slow and thinking things through and just really biding his time. He's not in a big rush. He avoids impulsivity and making rash decisions. My cat wants my attention. The Knight of Pentacles likes to think things through, he does his research, and he's really good at timing things. What you see is what you get with the Knight of Pentacles. He's a very practical, salt of the earth type of guy. He isn't going to be putting on airs or trying to make you think that he's different than he is. He doesn't wear a mask. He's just, you know, what you see is what you get. And he can be very protective and guarded. He can be very protective of himself, but also his family and friends and his private life. Now, if you were to meet the Knight of Pentacles at a party, he'd be the quiet one in the corner. He's kind of like a cat. Like, he likes to sit back in the corner, but then look out over the room and just really observe the interactions going on. He might leave early, and he doesn't really like parties, and he'll tell you that he doesn't like them because they're boring and it's just not his thing. But the truth is that parties are just too much for him. He can't handle all the stimulation. They're almost like too much. They're just too exciting for him. He prefers to hang out with just one or two friends, or best of all, his loyal pets. He's a little bit dull to talk to, so if you meet him at a party and you're having a conversation, he rarely does or says anything shocking or exciting, but he's very nice, he's polite, he's not bad at conversation, he's just not the most exciting person in the room. He loves to eat. So you might notice him at the snack table, scarfing down treats and snacks. He loves food, and this is because he is the Knight of Pentacles, and Pentacles is the physical suit. And court cards from this suit love physical comforts and physical things, particularly good food. So at work and in the realm of career, the Knight of Pentacles really values stability more than anything else. He really values stability, predictability, and routine in a job. He probably won't have a super exciting career, but he'll most likely have the same job for many years at a time. He's not really driven or a ladder climber, so this isn't the kind of guy who's, you know, trying to get to the top or be the CEO or whatever. He's just not driven in that way, but he's very loyal and he's very duty bound. And this applies to both like friends and family, but also career and work. He tends not to be self-employed because that's too risky and there's too many like unpredictable ups and downs with self-employment. He likes to have like really regular, predictable employment. He's very hardworking, but he isn't necessarily an ingenious thinker or a super creative character. He can be creative sometimes, and he can have really great ideas sometimes, but those aren't really the things that define him. He tends to be more just very hardworking and dependable. He has lots of stamina. He can work long hours and he's okay with doing like really difficult physical tasks. He can also handle like really boring and repetitive tasks. He may not be the fastest worker, but he can handle sort of repetition and boring stuff where the other knights can't handle that. The other knights need excitement and stimulation. But the Knight of Pentacles can actually, in some ways, sort of thrive in a job where there's like, it's really boring and predictable and there's like a lot of repetition. Okay, so let's have a look at my other, bear with me while I switch out my other note sheet. So when it comes to love and relationships, the Knight of Pentacles is no romantic. So he is not a super romantic guy, but he's very, very loyal and trustworthy, and he can be very physically affectionate. Like he's a real hugger. Now, as I'm going through this and saying all these things about the Knight of Pentacles, I want you to think if you know anyone like this. It could be a friend or family member or someone that you work with, but who do you know who's like the Knight of Pentacles? He values commitment in a relationship, and so this kind of makes him the marrying type. He can become very complacent in a relationship though, letting his partner do all the work to keep things moving along. He can really get stuck in a rut, and things can get really stale and boring in his relationships, not necessarily for him, but for the other person. His partners will always be trying to add variety and mix things up. And I'm not just talking about sex or in the bedroom. I mean, like, the Knight of Pentacles is totally content to just stay at home every night and read or watch TV or cook. And so his partners may be like, come on, let's go out, let's do something, let's try something different for a change. He's a real homebody, and he's not super, super social. And so if he's partnered with someone who needs, you know, socializing and needs to get out and stuff like that, that can kind of create a bit of conflict. He really drags his heels at a lot of things whenever it comes to moving forward in the relationship. So things like saying, I love you for the first time, moving in together, getting married, having children, or whatever those milestones might be. He really drags his heels because he needs to be 100% sure before moving forward in a relationship that this is the right person for him. And this can really ruffle some feathers and cause quite a bit of tension in his relationships. Okay, so when it comes to money and finances, the Knight of Pentacles is really good at saving money. He's good at saving, and he's very careful when it comes to spending. So he's not a big spender. He doesn't buy splashy things. And what might surprise you about the Knight of Pentacles is that he actually isn't all that materialistic. And that might be surprising because he's from the suit of Pentacles, and Pentacles is all about the material realm. He really appreciates comfort and good food, and he appreciates having money and the kind of the feeling of stability that that provides. But he's not materialistic. Like he just values other things more. Like he really values family and connections, and again, being stable, being grounded. Like these are the things he values, but he's not like chasing the dollar. He always has a steady income, but rarely a high income, and he never takes risks with his money. So some things that he thrives on, of course, security, routine, predictability, and comfort. He thrives on feeling like he has all the answers, and this can actually make him come across as a little bit of a know-it-all, but we'll get to that when we talk about his dark side. So he thrives on an environment that is tranquil and calm and peaceful. He likes it when there's really no rush and when no big demands are being placed on him. He thrives on having a specific and achievable goal to work towards. Otherwise, without this, he can be a little bit of a loafer. He can kind of loaf around and get kind of lazy if he doesn't have a project or a goal to work towards. He can't stand unpredictability, change, chaos, drama, and high stakes. These things really stress him out. He also can't stand feeling up in the air about something or being forced to make a decision or move forward when he isn't ready yet. And this can be hard because sometimes he's never ready. Like, he likes to take his time to think things through, do his research, kind of test the playing field before he gets out there. And sometimes this can take forever with the Knight of Pentacles. He can't stand feeling like he's not in control of things or feeling like he's being forced or pressured in any way. So his main challenge really is that he wants to move forward and he craves a sense of progress, yet he also fears change and kind of wants to cling to comfort and stability. So that's the big conundrum with the Knight of Pentacles. So let's dive into his dark side. So the bad side of the Knight of Pentacles, his dark side, is that sometimes he can be almost incapable of moving forward of his own accord. So he can really stagnate easily. And sometimes if he feels comfortable, he's not going to change anything. And so sometimes it takes a tower moment, like some big shift or event that kind of forces him to move forward, because as long as he's comfy, he's not going to make any changes. He tends to freeze up if he feels unsure or unsafe. And he can be a bit of a know-it-all, as I mentioned earlier, and this is kind of his way of self-soothing. And so if you're having a conversation with a Knight of Pentacles type, and he starts to come across as being really sure of himself and kind of a know-it-all, this is actually how he soothes himself. He doesn't necessarily believe that he has all the answers, but he likes to kind of convince himself that he does, because it makes him feel more, more self-assured and more stable. He can be a little bit close-minded. So if you run into a Knight of Pentacles type at a party, you're not going to want to share your UFO abduction story with him. He's not going to be into that. He's very close-minded because he's so down to earth and practical. This also sometimes makes him a little too down to earth and practical and not open to spiritual concepts or things that can't be explained in a physical, logical way. He often says no reflexively. So if you ask him, hey, do you want to go do this? He'll be like, no. That's his default response to everything is no. Remember, this is his dark side. Not every Knight of Pentacles is like this all the time, but this is kind of a dark trait that can sometimes come out. And he can be a little bit boring. Knight of Pentacles is a nice guy. He's a stable guy. There's so many wonderful things about the Knight of Pentacles. He's very grounded, earthy, practical, kind. He loves animals. He loves nature. He's dependable. He's loyal. But he isn't the most exciting knight. He can be a little bit boring at times. So some ways to embody this card is to create some sort of routine or make a to-do list. This is something that the Knight of Pentacles would really approve of. So creating a routine, staying home tonight, just staying home and having a quiet night in. This is one way to really embody this card. Giving yourself time to think things through and slowing down. Often when the Knight of Pentacles comes up in a reading, depends, where he comes up or what you're reading about. But often when the Knight of Pentacles comes up, it's to encourage you to slow down, to say, there's no rush here. Take your time, think things through, feel things out, and just slow down. So a few journaling questions that I have for you. Where in your life can you benefit from slowing down or taking more time to think things through? And remember, I'm going to put these questions just under this video. I'll pin it as a comment. And you can also find these questions on my blog post on this card. How can you cultivate a slow and steady approach to a project or a goal or a life area? How can you create a feeling of safety and comfort for yourself as you move forward and make changes? And this is a really important one, I think. So how can you kind of mitigate that kind of frightening feeling when it comes to making changes and moving forward in life? How can you create a feeling of safety and containment? Where in your life are you like this Knight? So how can you relate to this Knight? I'd love it if you shared in the comments below all the ways that you connect with this Knight and kind of relate to him, or maybe someone you know who is very much like him. And where would you like to be less like him in your life? I tend to relate to the Knight of Pentacles in that I don't love change either. It kind of stresses me out. I love routine and some predictability, and sometimes that kind of holds me back a little bit. So that's one way I would like to be a little bit less like him. But where in your life would you like to be more like him? Let me know in the comments below. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned something new about the Knight of Pentacles. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And in the next video, we're going to be diving into the Knight of Swords. So I can't wait. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. I'll put all of that below this video. And of course, don't forget to download your free cheat sheet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.